Okay, this is gonna be the game plan heading into the new week. There's really only 4 names that we're gonna be watching. 5 names actually, excuse me. Gonna start with Coinbase and MSTR, and then talk about XOM, and then talk about Toast and JD. So, Coin and MSTR both kind of in the same spot. Price showing that it was able to climb back above the EMAs and now forming a tight flag, kind of basing over the EMAs. So looks a lot like the EMA crossback portion of the bullish price cycle. So, I guess plan for Coinbase, if it shows strength off of these EMAs, I'd like to take an entry. I am already in. I got in off of this candle right here. Price was showing that it was holding the EMA, so I got in there. Anyways, I think it'd be a really good entry here. I really don't think you can get, a better entry. Your risk is really tight. Very simple trigger and exit. If it closes back below, if it rolls over, obviously would be out, and if it bounces, we'd be in. So I guess Monday and Tuesday is going to be pretty important. So just a PSA, I think it's very, very, very. I mean, I highly recommend to take an entry here on Coinbase if it does show that bounce Monday, Tuesday. So looking at like Jan 2027, maybe into June 2027 calls right there. So that's Coinbase. Um, very much in question this week, right? Does it hold this tight flag? Does it bounce or does it fail lower? Obviously, if it shows us that it fails lower on Monday, we wouldn't consider it for a long. If it bounces on Monday, then I'd consider it for an entry with risk being a closure back below the EMAs. Same thing with MSTR. If we go look at it, kind of hovering right above, forming that tight flag, kind of just consolidating above the EMAs, right? Price was able to gap up on good volume right there. Price did gap up like 6% on Friday. Same with Coinbase, but obviously they sold back off back to the EMAs. So again, I really don't think you can get. I mean, I think this is an A plus entry. I really do. The risk is super tight. EMAs are right here. If price bounces, we take an entry. If price folds over and closes back below the EMAs, we don't take an entry. We look for an entry later, right? Pretty easy decision. If Coinbase and MSCR bounce on Monday and show strength off of the EMAs, I'd really like to take an entry on those. Again, I'm not in MSCR. I got in MSCR. I believe on this candle right here, closed on this one, and I'm kind of just waiting to see if this is going to bounce. So that's kind of my plan on MSTR. For XOM, I sent you over the video breaking down the XOM thesis, and then also I posted an article on X, really breaking down the XOM thesis. But I got in on this candle right here. I'm really curious to see how price opens up Monday. If price opens up with some kind of gap down or bearish candle, I think that could be an awesome entry using the EMAs as your risk, right? If it has some kind of sell off back to maybe 150 EMAs as your risk, that's a really tight stop. I think that's a really solid risk to reward entry right there. If price is able to push past the upper bound of this range, then I would look for some kind of retest entry. Like if we have a super bullish Monday, I'd look for some kind of retest in EMAs right here, and then that'd be my entry on that, some kind of pullback. So, kind of TBD on XOM. A bearish day on Monday, and I think that'd be a really good spot for an entry. A bullish day, I'd probably wait and see. Wait and see. There's so many dependents on that. If a large gap up, we'd probably just let it go. If it ends the day bullish, then maybe I don't know. We'll wait and see on that one. Toast, I mean, not really going to talk about rolled over, right? It didn't show any support off of the EMAs. Rolled over for now. I think it looks fantastic. It's going to be very soon. Not ready yet. JD able to climb back above the EMAs, which is great to see. Now I'd expect some kind of weakness back into it, and then we would take an entry off of the bounce if and when it shows it off of the EMAs. So that's kind of what I'm expecting for JD. The weekly looks absolutely fantastic. I'm expecting some kind of weakness. Maybe a partial close back below the EMAs and then pop back above. This is not really executable right now. I don't want to be taking an entry within these 3 candles, and we're trading, higher above the EMAs. I'd like this to tighten out, show some weakness, and then get back in on whatever strength it ends up showing. So that's the plan. Coin MSTR, big Monday, Tuesday could absolutely take a trade. If you want to go through contracts, I think I'll send over some contracts that would fit the criteria and what we're trying to do. XOM, kind of TBD. Same with Toast is not this week, and then JD will see most likely not this week.